pretty wide today. I told him afterwards, I think it's there. I've seen moments that I think it's there, but if you're soft, if you're soft mentally, physically, you're not going to make it.
Rich Rodriguez is sending a loud and clear message to the West Virginia football team. They're soft.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host here, and this is Locked On West Virginia. Happy Sunday to you and yours. This episode is going to be brought to you by FanDuel. Obviously, we love FanDuel around here. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet, but you can only do it at FanDuel.com. Make sure you go there to get started today. Well, on this episode of Locked On West Virginia, Rich Rod talking about being soft. Not shocked. Certainly expected some of the hard edge philosophy to seep in early in camp. And I was wrong, man. We'll talk about that. Why was I wrong? Like way wrong. And there's no spring game. I think wasn't sure what iteration of it was going to look like. We're going to talk about that too, because I think there are people that may have been expecting something else. So that's the show. I don't have it set in stone exactly. You know me, I just kind of ad lib, but that's kind of the topics we're framing today around. So yesterday, Rich Rod's press conference, I thought said a lot. He kind of, the way he phrased it was periods of softness, I believe it was. So I'm going to read an article partially. I'm going to just go over the bullet points from Keenan Cummings here at Rivals, one of my favorites. Just going to kind of hit some bullet points of it. Saturday brought the first day in pads for West Virginia and some mixed results, and very much so. Quote, I saw too many periods of softness and we'll have to get that fixed. That takes time, and often Rodriguez said that it often spans the entire spring to establish some of what he wants to see out of his football team on that front. And that's because with any regime change, there's a lot of shifting going on, and you're trying to judge multiple things at once, such as teaching the system, schemes, and techniques, as well as how he wants his football program to operate. West Virginia does plan to tackle in some scrimmages throughout the offseason, but they did not do it yesterday. Pretty much what he was talking about was thuds, right? And if you've ever played football and had a day, a Friday or a Thursday before the game, if you're in high school, or if you played lower level college or at college, you've got the Friday before the game where you play, you're warming up in shorts, shoulder pads are on, helmets are on, and you basically hit a hard from the waist up, and you just kind of thud and simulate technique, form, and you want to get some pops in. You want to get that. You don't want to necessarily ring somebody's bell, but you want somebody to get used to getting hit, because that's what the game of football is. You get hit. Taking guys to the ground is something that he talked about a little bit at length. He talked about no cut blocks or tackles happening right now for us in this program. He said, I didn't see any of that today. That was some good, but we still have to learn that when you're doing thud, it's not half speed. I think when you go live, sometimes you don't go as full speed as you need. So the key is to teach our guys to go full speed and not always tackling, Rodriguez said. And something else that I really found to be intriguing was, I think they caught Rich off guard here a little bit, asking him what his definition of soft was, because you guys know I have a history. When I was in jail, being soft could mean a range of things. It could mean somebody could take something from you and you refuse to retaliate. Oh, you're soft. You're too soft to do something about it. Or it could even be as extreme as, you don't want to go fight those three guys right now? Quit being soft. Like, I've seen that, and I've seen that literally judged onto somebody, and it's not, now football. So obviously there are really broad terms for what softness is, and there are some people that take it very seriously to be called soft. So I think it's important to get the verbiage right. And I think that was a good question for Rich Rod, because you got to define that. And here's what I got out of his definition of what softness or hard edge is for them. I don't think it's necessarily something you will or won't do. It's something that it's sort of like a tool that you apply, right? That's a mindset. Sure, there are guys that are going to be physically tougher than others. You really can't do much to change your pain threshold. Like you're some people are just going to be able to naturally handle more. Now, I'm sure you can train it, but you get what I'm saying? Just generally in football, some people are going to be able to handle more. Owen Schmidt could bust face mask after face mask after face mask, and not everybody can do that, right? So there is levels to it. There's nuance within it. There has to be a certain bottom standard that everybody has to be able to get to. And what is that? Well, I think I found the word for it, and it's something that's a great one. Caleb 31, that's a great one. Which is Chaz, I believe. I think strain is the word I was going to go with. You got to strain. You got to, it's just like Bob Huggins. You got to hit the floor, right? You got to box out. You got to push yourself past your limits. It's like the trope you see in anime. I'm going to push myself past my limits. Like that's what it is. It's not, it is an ability, because to do it every single day is not easy, and, there are days where maybe you can do it. Let's say you got the right matchup that day. Maybe you're physically more talented than the guy you're going up against in one-on-one drills that day. But what about when you got to go, what if you're Sean Martin and you've got to go head to head with Wyatt Milam every single day? Then can you be tough? Can you be hard edge? Because that's what it takes. And it takes what it takes. So I think it's going to be super interesting. And we're going to find out, like you said, come the portal, we're going to know who's ready for this and who isn't on this team. And we better hope that it's the majority of the guys that we got that we need, because we really can't afford much more turnover than we already got going on. So for me, man, I just think that Rich Rod is, maybe he's using the media to send a message, but I honestly, my interpretation of it was, I think he's just being honest here. Like, I think there is you don't get fake when you hear from Rich Rod, or at least I don't. And so I think that's kind of what's going on here. While maybe sending a message through the media, I think more so he's just being honest. And this team is, by his standards, soft right now. And I think it raises some interesting questions that I was thinking about. I wonder how much of this has to do with the previous staff that they played under, right? And that doesn't mean Neil Brown in every case. I'm talking about, we've got a bunch of transfers here. In some cases, it could be Rich Rod's staff. In some cases, it could be, Arkansas staff. It can be, a multitude of different, you got this melting pot of people coming together from different spots around the country. And I think it's super interesting to try to decipher, like, I wonder if they come in with a softer mentality based on what the play style was. Neil Brown had a spread style, but would I classify it as soft? I wouldn't, based on how they ran the ball. Now, defensively, maybe different story. I felt like we had a couple defenses under Jordan Leslie that were tough. And then those guys went to Colorado. We had a few guys go to Colorado, obviously. Josh Chandler-Samito, I felt like it was a really tough guy we had in the middle. He went to Colorado. We had a couple other guys go there. And I felt like a lot of the toughness within our defense kind of fell off, and we didn't have a guy to pass on that torch. And then it's something you got to have. You got to have it. So we're going to monitor this throughout the spring. Like I said, I've been talking to people, and I've heard a lot of good things about Xavier Bosley still. Like, he continues to be a leader and somebody that just flattens people day after day. So I think that's something great. It's not only is it cool that I'm cool with Boz, but it's cool that he's actually living up to the hype, because coming in as a freshman All-American and all that stuff, he had UK, he had West Virginia, he had all these teams after him. He chose to stay home. He took a pay cut to do it, which I think is just says so much about Boz, and I think I've shared that with you guys a couple times. I was fortunate enough to break the news when he decided to choose West Virginia. And another thing he did that he told me along the way, there's a couple of things about Bosley that makes him hard-edged to me. Number one is his humility. He won't talk about himself hardly at all. He just won't. It's just not how he's built. And so when you get him to, it's still he wants to defer to teammates and that kind of thing. And it's not fake or put on. I think he really just understands that's how it has to be. So, but yeah, he turned down more money to go to stay home rather than go to UK or somewhere else. So, I always think so highly of him, and I feel like it's deserved. He's deserving of all this kind of stuff that I think he's going to end up getting. I think he's going to be an all Big 12 player, and I think he's going to win a lot of people over this coming season in the Rich Rod offense that he was already a freshman All-American in. Don't forget, he's going to be up to speed really fast. So it's going to be fun to see. While we got some softer guys on the team and I'll be honest, I worry about Jaheim a little bit because of, under Neil Brown, I felt like his body language got rough at times. I felt like he wasn't necessarily a 3-down back, and I'm hoping they can try to transform him into that here, through whatever methods they may use. So that's going to I don't think he's soft necessarily, but I always felt like, he didn't. He wasn't the bell cow that I was hoping he could be, and the Deuce Vaughn did it at K-State. He was a 3-down back. Like it's size matters, but there are guys that size that have done it. Darren Sproles, another K-State guy. Maybe it's just K-State guys. I don't know. But, so right now the team's in flux. They're being evaluated. I don't think that we're going to be soft forever. I just think that's a phase. And look, here's another part to this that I think, this is kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit. When I was in boot camp, we had a guy in there that had played college football at Rhode Island. He was jacked. And all the physical exercises he could crush. But no matter what he did, he was a maggot on the ground. He was bacteria that didn't even deserve to be wiped on toilet paper. You know what I'm saying? And he was basically the best in shape guy, maybe besides the drill instructors that was there. So, it's that phase with Rich Rod too, where even if people are doing well, that's not what's going to be talked about as much. I mean, you got to learn when to edify people, but generally speaking, man, like they're all bacteria that don't deserve to be wiped on toilet paper right now. That's my thoughts on it. Up next on Locked on West Virginia, let's talk about something that I was pretty damn wrong about, our basketball team. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. Did you know when the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get it than on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip or if you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your own live bets into same-game parlays, which is pretty cool. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because, hey, look, it keeps every moment of the game exciting, whether I'm backing my late team up for a late pep rally, picking a player to hit a clutch three, or if I miss my chance, I can use the app and it's easier to use next time. Make sure this, too. You're always going to get paid instantly. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet, but you have to go to FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Do it at FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Basketball Association. Of course, it's segment 2, and I do have a do. It's my Sunday do. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I even had somebody walk up to me in Walmart yesterday. I went to Walmart yesterday. Yeah, I did. I did it. I went to Walmart yesterday. Don't judge me. I also went to JCPenney's yesterday. Don't judge me there either. I had to get some shirts and stuff, fellas and ladies. So yes, I am your typical Walmart American. And I'm proud of it. So I like Walmart, honestly. I bought me some $14 steaks that I got judged for too. Somebody walked by and said, "You're paying for them?" Yeah, I'm paying for them. But I had 2 6-packs of Mountain Dew. I had 2 6-packs of Dr. Pepper, Dr. P, and a orange cream soda. What I thought was orange cream soda, but it was ginger ale flavored, or it was ginger ale flavored orange cream soda. I'm not really sure how it goes. That stuff is terrible, man. It's ginger ale, but flavored like Orange Crush. So, yeah, basically, like it was not good at all. So, yeah, so I got judged yesterday for my Mountain Dew consumption. One of my friends walked by and said, "Hey, man, you might want to put those back." I'm like, "What are you trying to say about me right now? Am I that much of a fatty?" And I was like, "Look, I got steaks in there. I had 7 steaks in there. That's like, gosh, almost $200 in steaks in the cart. You'd think they would at least mention that." Excuse me. So just for that segment 2, I'm cracking another Dew. And oh, by the way, you know who it was? Do you guys remember when I told you guys a month ago that I had a friend that was overseas in Mexico that we thought was being held hostage? That was him. And so turns out he got a prescription filled in Mexico that was laced with fentanyl because they were on like like on a cruise, right? And whenever you stop on the island or whatever, he went and got a prescription filled that because he had his back fused together, and so the prescription he got, because I think he had it done there, was for a pain medication, and it was laced with fentanyl. It's like a big scam apparently going on with like the cartels there right now. So of course he overdosed like any other person would, and what they did on the back end was held him against his will basically, and said, "Look, we'll treat him in the good hospital for $16,000." Like, it was a true mess. They end up getting a bunch of money from them. So be careful. And I know this is way off track, but be careful if you go overseas for any kind of reason and get medication or anything. So it was nice to see him. And I wanted to update you guys with that story because it's a good story, even though he was judging me. And I'm glad to know that he's okay. So let's talk ball. Yesterday was rough, man. Really rough. And I went out and did a video yesterday. I was feeling cheeky yesterday morning, and I did a West Virginia basketball video. And, I said, we're the big underdogs and I still think we can win this game. And I really did, and I'll be honest, man, like, I haven't looked at both games yet, but let me look at the stats here. So yeah, they shot 22 free throws in this game. We made 6, and I believe the first game was at least as bad. I would say over the course of the 2 games, they probably had 20 to 30 more points in free throws than we did. The first game I was really mad about. This game was less egregious. Like, here's how I felt yesterday. I really felt this way, and I really feel this way. I really, in my heart, feel this way. The game wasn't being called consistently for us. It was being called ticky-tack for them. And, like, when Javon came at the rim, like, I'm okay with that not being a foul, but the way they were calling it on our end should have been a foul. On their end, should have been a foul on our end. The touch fouls with Oconee and even Andre, to me, were like, do you mean to tell me the one thing they really needed to go well for them to have a great shot of beating us? That's what happened. And sometimes I entertain things in my head like, I just wonder if the Big 12, if it's good for the Big 12. And like, this is an open dialogue I'm having here, like, about something people are going to say I'm crazy. I'm just floating this out there. I'm not saying this is actually happening. But part of me sometimes asks, like, gosh, I wonder when it's so bad. Am I the only person that thinks this, by the way? Because, like, I got some pushback against it. And I'm thinking, am I so biased that I just can't judge this fairly? Because I really felt like it was really, really like teams get a home court whistle. We didn't against BYU. It was the same, or if not worse. We had I still remember Javon and KJ both hit the floor really hard in that game. And I thought they were both, at least one of them was a foul. The other one was, I don't know, because he was kind of straight up. But for me, man, I don't know. I was extremely frustrated, and I just couldn't watch, you know. I had to listen. I had to listen to Tony. I couldn't actually watch it. That's how upset I was. So, you know, while there are things that we didn't do well and could have done better to win the game, that's 1,000% for sure. And it's like Brad says, it's okay to say that the refs, maybe they didn't cost us the game. You know, we definitely didn't play well enough to win the game, but it's okay to have a conversation about the refs and say, like, they didn't do their job. There's no accountability for them. They don't have to talk to anybody after the game. They just go to the next game. So if there's inherent biases or anything like that, they never get called on them. So, and they're humans. It's human nature. We've seen how many referees go down for different levels of scandalous nature kind of deal. So, you know, I don't know. It's unfortunate, like I said. BYU shot 39 free throws to West Virginia's 17 over the course of the two games. So there you go, man. That's quite a disparity. Quite a disparity. I don't know. It's not like we're the Bob Huggins era where it's like you have this reputation for being rough. Like it's egregious, man. So, and maybe like I said, in my head, like here's what I start to say to myself. You know, you got BYU. They made it all the way to the conference. You know, almost made the playoff last year. They're such a brand that if they played well enough, it would be great for the conference. Like if they became this huge brand, like we do need that. Like for the Big 12 to actually survive. And sometimes I just wonder if, you know, they're trying to make them, you know, and I know that's crazy. I know that's way far out there, but I do find myself wondering about that stuff. You know, I just can't help it. That's neither here nor there with this game, really. But, you know, looking at the stats here, you can't shoot 33% from the field and win a game anyway. BYU shot 52%, which is definitely you can win a game doing that. We made 8 threes out of 27 attempts. That's 30%. BYU, we held them to, if you told me they'd have made 5, I'd have said we were in good shape, but we couldn't score. It's another game where we just couldn't score. And we didn't get to the line a lot. So what can you do in a game like that? You know, rebounding margin was very slanted their way, especially defensive rebounds. Offensive rebounds was 11-11. Defensive rebounds was 35-23. Trey Ore dominated the game. No secret, you know. So let's go to break really quick. We'll put a bow on this one. I'll finish talking about the game. I will be right back to gripe some more. No, we'll talk about a few other things. It's locked up on West Virginia. Excuse me. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by Return on You. Attention, West Virginia fans. Ever wish you could directly support your favorite West Virginia athletes and be a part of their journey? Because now you can with Return on You, the NIL app that puts fans in control. Before Return on You, NIL deals were often handled behind closed doors, and fans like you didn't even have a clear way to directly support the players you love. Now with Return on You, you can make a real impact and feel closer to the athletes representing West Virginia. With Return on You, you get to choose the player, decide how much, and get exclusive content straight from the athletes you back. The best part is if you transfers, you get the money back. So it's a risk-free way to show your love and support for the men or women that you love to watch. Support your favorite players directly and help shape the future of West Virginia sports. Download the Return on You app from the App Store and start backing West Virginia athletes the way they deserve with transparency, trust, and impact. This is the future of college sports. Join it now by downloading Return on You and supporting your favorite West Virginia players. All right. And this is, we're in segment 3 here. I appreciate you guys for joining me for this one. This was it was a tough game. Like I said yesterday, I watched Jordan on Country Red's webcast earlier, and I agree with what he said. I think, I still think we can be a dangerous tournament team because of how hard we're going to be to prepare for, how good, Javon is and defense does travel. I don't think we're going to go deep because our shooting woes are inevitably probably going to come back to bite us. So that's my prediction, but maybe we can get on a hot streak and make a few in a couple of the tournament or NCAA games. But, I'm not exactly, games like yesterday really hurt my confidence for this team. So, it's tough. Darren doesn't have a lot to use. We have to keep telling ourselves that. He just doesn't. Somehow we're in the mix, because of our resume, and we're lucky to have that resume. We just got to finish Utah and obviously UCF off, and we're more than in, and that's all we can ask for. So it's all good. I think we're going to be fine, but man, is it frustrating. But let's not quit supporting. This team's going to need us. Obviously, the last game of the year being at home, we're going to need to support them. So make sure you show up there if you got a ticket and rock the house for the last game of the year. I really don't have a lot else. I think, one other thing I will mention is Rich Rod talked about the running backs yesterday and kind of talked about how, he doesn't necessarily feel like he has 3 ready to roll yet. He did mention Hubbard, who I told you guys was performing well the other day. And then obviously Jaheim. He mentioned Edwards as well, but he's not sure that we got 3 guys. So they may bring in another running back, and maybe the next running backs coach is connected to a guy. You never know, but keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the receivers room and all that kind of jazz. And it's going to be an interesting spring to follow, guys. But I'll try to have a guy on for the Utah. I'll have JT on for the Utah game again, and we'll try to talk Utes, West Virginia, and see where that game goes in a few days. The baseball team's playing extremely well. That's fun. And football teams, ramping up. So there's a lot to talk about, obviously. So we'll keep track of it all the way up until spring, and it should be good to go, guys. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and hit that like button, hit that follow button. Always hit notifications so that you know when we're live. And jump in our Discord, man. There are several people in the chat that are also in Discord. Hit any one of them up. They can give you the link to the Discord, or if Fester or Dylan or Chaz or Raven or somebody's in the chat, they can also give you the link. So thank you guys so much for being here. Like I say, for those of you on podcast, thanks for being here as well. And I'll see you on the next one. I guess we're all soft, according to Richard, even me and you. So let's all try to get a little bit more hard edge this week, and I'll see you on the next one, guys. Have a great one, and I'm out of here. Well, if it'll let me turn it off.